All right, hi guys. In today's video, we're going to show you a few sellers who, in my opinion, have completely missed the boat. They missed the mark. They've overpriced their houses because of what they saw on Zillow and because they had weak listing agents that either refused to tell them the truth or just figured they could wait the seller out and eventually the seller would get exhausted and they would drop the price rather than listing the home properly at the beginning of the selling season, which was very slow, but that was their best hope to get their home sold that I'm going to show you in today's video. Then I'm going to ask you to tell me in the comments what you think the homes are worth or what you would pay for them. So guys, let's jump into the video. My name is Ken Blumberg, your all-American realtor, a 20-year top-rated Zillow listing agent. All my information is in the comments below. If you want to reach out to me, contact information is below also. So let's jump into this video. So the first home I'm going to show you is at 1601 Ghost Flower Court. And on the surface, this looks like a pretty nice home. It is in a good location. It's in Summerlin. If you're familiar, that is considered one of the premier places in Las Vegas to buy a home. And there are others, of course, but Summerlin is widely considered one of the nicer communities. It is master planned, so you have immaculate landscaping throughout. You have views of Red Rock in many situations or views of the city. So as I mentioned, it is considered a premier location. So when this home got listed on May 14th, you can see the chart here on Zillow. And Zillow was saying the home was approximately worth $600,000. And then it peaked up a little higher at 606. And right now it's at 550. So as I've mentioned in other videos, Zillow is a backwards looking indicator. So if home prices are going up, then it will usually lag and the homes on Zillow are generally worth more than what Zillow's saying. And in our case, in a descending market here in Las Vegas, at least in certain price points in certain areas, a lot of them, Zillow is going to be a backward looking indicator. So if the seller listed their home when Zillow was telling them their home was worth $600,000 to $606,000, and they believe Zillow rather than listening to an educated listing agent, then they were going to miss the boat. So this seller obviously listed their home too high, in my opinion, instead of listening to market experts who I would imagine were telling them not to list that high to get the home sold, because very few sales had been happening in the market for the past 4 years. We've had extremely low volume of sales and listings are slowly trickling up. So inventory is also slowly, but it is happening. Over 4 years, we have increased our inventory substantially. So right here on my screen, you can see the listing history. It got listed, like I said, on the 14th, but they probably didn't post it on the MLS to the 15th. They listed it at $580,000. I assume there was a conversation there where the seller wanted to sell it for more, but the listing agent probably told them, hey, we got to list it lower because the chances are you're not going to get any action at that price. So the seller most likely acquiesced and listed it at a lower price, but the house sat on the market for over 30 days. And I would imagine the listing agent was telling the seller, hey, nobody is showing up. Nobody's coming to see your house in person. And that is a really bad sign, saying that you're overpriced. That's the market speaking to us, letting us know you're overpriced, and that at current interest rates and current mortgage payments with insurance, taxes, and HOAs, that nobody is interested in today's market in your home. So they waited again for over 30 days. They reduced the price to $550, which is a decent price reduction if you were not listed way too high to begin with. So they dropped it to $550,000. They sat and sat. I personally know I had some interest in this house, so I saw it actually go under contract. I was thinking, okay, possibly the home is going to get sold for what I thought originally it should have sold for, approximately, if it got listed at this 550 mark at the beginning of the summer. But it went under contract and then it fell out and it was back on the market active again. So what I'm pretty confident happened is the buyer came in, they wrote an offer that the seller was willing to accept. Once they did the inspection, they said, no way, Jose, this is not happening. We need a big price reduction, probably in the realm of $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. And the seller refused to capitulate, and again the home went back on the market, and then they waited approximately another 20 days, and they have done another price reduction down to $539,999. They're doing that old pricing trick to make the home appear like it's less money than what it really is, which is understandable. That's an old tactic in marketing. But the reality is, when a buyer's looking at their mortgage payments, they know what the home is going to cost them every month. They have an approximation of the interest, tax, insurance, and HOA, like we talked about. So whatever games you're trying to play with your pricing, if a buyer's educated, which many of them are, especially when you start getting into these upper end prices, they're not going to fall for a magic marketing trick. So let's get into partially why I think this home was overpriced. So first, as I mentioned, the neighborhood is good, so you don't have a problem there. It's definitely a neighborhood that has held up over time and is highly regarded. You have a home on a cul-de-sac, which is typically a good thing, but this home comes with a caveat, and I'll show you that in a minute. So next, we want to look at the pool area right here. So definitely, if you have a pool home, it is very wise to list your home at the beginning of the summer. And this seller actually nailed the time frame. So they listed at the right time. Again, the price was the issue. But as you can see in this example, the pool that they have takes up the majority of the yard, right? So this is not necessarily a selling feature to even people that want a pool. It's definitely a deterrent if somebody doesn't want the maintenance of a pool. But even if somebody wanted a pool, when you have the entire yard taken up by the pool, that means you can't really barbecue comfortably. It means you can't lay out and sunbathe. So in this scenario, when you're walking out of your house, you're practically falling right into the pool. And with 110-degree weather, maybe that's not such a bad thing. But all jokes aside, this is not what a buyer prefers. This is somebody who had to have a pool in their backyard and didn't think things through, right? When you're buying a home, it's very important that you think things through and you understand what you have. And this yard was not equipped to have a pool. It was never meant to have a pool, and no one ever anticipated that anyone would put a pool into this small of a backyard. So again, people do it, so not necessarily a criticism on somebody who does that. I mean, hey, if it's done for your own enjoyment, perfectly fine, but it is going to affect your resale value down the line. Most homes that are going to attract an upper end buyer is going to have a bigger yard or possibly a side yard. This is a home I sold a number of years back. I think they've sold it since then because I did much better photography on this property. But you can see here, which was smart, they put the pool as one of the first listing pictures because it has such a nice pool, and you want to emphasize the best characteristic of the home, in my opinion, rather than just putting the front of the house, which every listing agent out there does very foolishly, in my opinion. But if we scroll and we get to more shots of the backyard, you can see that there is ample space. In addition to the pool, you've got a lounge on the side of the house. The other house on Ghost Flower, the yard is very small. It's more of a dog run than an actual usable space. They've got the patio cover right here, so it's a nice shaded area. Not a ton of room, but you're not falling right out into the pool. Like I said, obviously they have a nice water feature, some nice landscaping. The neighbors have some good landscaping, which all adds into the value of the home. But one of the things I want to emphasize here is they have this beautiful side yard here. So for somebody who has pets, somebody who likes to entertain, get together, or somebody who just, wants to step away from the pool, they have this whole additional side yard. This is what I would call something that actually fits into the luxury home category. Not a home where they monopolized the space that they had and actually created a huge flaw when they added that pool and took away the value of what they did have, which was some kind of usable yard. All right, so as you can see here, both homes are in Summerlin, but as far as one being usable and enjoyable for the owner, it's a world apart. Of course, Crimson Rose is further up into Summerlin. In my opinion, that gives you more desirability. You have fewer homes that can be built here, so you're not in as busy or a noisy area. There is some traffic coming up Charleston. They are building out this area still, but if you're in this area, you are insulated from some degree of traffic. And the other thing that you have is you have views of Red Rock Canyon when you're driving up West Charleston, and you have cooler temperatures, and you have views in some areas. So again, not a bad area for Ghost Flower, but a total misallocation of the space they had. All the while, the summer selling season is ticking away. And as we get into the cooler months, buyers are less interested. They have their kids going back to school in some cases, and they're just not as excited about having that pool in general as you go into the later parts of the year. Obviously, people get distracted with the holidays and other events, but it's just like going to the supermarket. If somebody is hungry, they're going to buy more food when they go to the supermarket. If you're going to list a pool home, if you want to get maximum effects and maximum value, then you have to list it right, because no one's going to pay 6 times the amount for a candy bar at the supermarket, but they will buy more if the price is right. So that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get my point. All right, guys. So the next thing I want to address is the location of these particular properties, not that they're both in Summerlin, but the actual location in a subdivision. Because if you're buying a home, again, if your agent's not pointing this out to you, it's very important. It's very valuable to understand this, especially now when there's more deals to be had. During the height of the pandemic, people were just buying anything and everything, whatever they could afford at that moment. If it was available and you could get your offer accepted, you were moving in and you were a happy camper, because prices were going up about $8,000 to $9,000 a month on average here in Las Vegas and the rest of the country. So different scenario. But if you look at my screen here, you got Charleston, which is a main avenue. You got the 215, which gives you good access. But this home on Crimson Rose Avenue, it was insulated, right? So you have this barrier here of homes all around you, which reduces the noise, because most of these streets, Alta's semi-busy, but this whole Vista Run is not a very busy street. Obviously, you get some traffic from the homeowners, but it's not an extremely loud street where people are hitting freeway speeds. It's also get some traffic, but not that bad. And then you're in the community, so you're not even on the main artery of the community. And when you zoom in here, you've got a lot of barrier to this location. And you got also an oversized lot here. Obviously, everybody can't get that oversized lot, but that's a selling feature. When you juxtapose that to our other subject property on Ghost Flower, you can see, even though they are in a cul-de-sac, which is generally considered a good thing, obviously you don't get that much traffic coming here. If you have pets or kids, maybe you want to be in a cul-de-sac, so that's a positive. But people hate traffic noise. This is definitely something that I don't like personally, because you never know when somebody's going to go by with a loud muscle car at 2 a.m. or on a motorcycle and wake your whole family up. But buyers are very sensitive to traffic noise. So even though you're down a cul-de-sac, you're still adjacent to a fairly main street here on West Vegas Boulevard. So you feel like you're in inner city traffic all day long. So I don't know about you, but for me, that's not a good way to decompress. All right, so moving right along, let's continue dismantling the seller's hopes and dreams. And again, that's not because I'm a mean person. It is just because the market has changed. To buy Ghost Flower now, as opposed to when the interest rates were ultra low, you're going to increase your payment by more than $1,000 a month. So if you hold your breath, it still doesn't make the buyer's home payments more affordable. So you have to be very realistic with what the market will bear if you're going to sell your home. Otherwise, this is months and months of rental income that the seller could have been getting if they didn't actually want to sell at today's prices. So this may sound tough, but believe me, it's tough love. All right, so again, looking at the photos here, you've got sort of a mismatch. I mean, they probably should have brought this tile over. I mean, you have semi-dated tile here, but it's definitely okay. It's not that bad. And then you have older, less expensive tile. This was probably builder grade, and they should have removed this tile and brought this all the way through. Another thing that I've learned, that buyers want consistency in their home. They don't want that type of builder grade material up against nicer tile. Moving right along, I mean, the photos look okay here. They virtually staged this property, so at least they're doing something to market it. So moving on, decent photos. Yeah, actually has some decent natural lighting in that property. I'm not here just to insult the house for no reason. Hopefully this is an educational experience if you're looking to buy or sell a property. You do have a very low quality ceiling fan. Again, folks, if you're going to put a ceiling fan in, It's relatively inexpensive, and you get a lot of bang for your buck by upgrading that ceiling fan to something really nice that is a centerpiece that's going to catch somebody's eye, and you're going to make them feel like they're in a luxury property. So here you see it. I mean, the window coverings are sparse, right? So there's no pull down shade. So if a buyer wants that, they're going to have to install it themselves. And again, at $1,000 to $1,500 more a month, buyers have less tolerance to do things like that. So here in the kitchen, it looks okay. Again, this is not the most recent style of granite countertop. It is granite. It looks pretty good against the white, in my opinion. It looks like the cabinets had some work done recently. When I was in the house originally, the cabinets were in very poor shape, and it was noticeable that there was definitely going to be work that needed to be done. But unfortunately, even if they did upgrade the cabinets and clean them up, which I think is very smart, again, you want to think builder grade when you're selling a property. You don't want to think we're dumping our problems and our lack of maintenance on the new buyer, who is, again, very reluctant to go spend their money in today's home environment. But all right, so here's another potential area where I think they got it wrong. I mean, you have granite in the kitchen, and then you have a bathroom here where you didn't paint the cabinets. You have a different countertop, which is, again, it's inconsistent. Most buyers want to feel like the home is consistent. Everything matches, it's in its right place. It just gives them a sense that every detail was considered. In this home, they neglected to do the bathroom remodel to match the kitchen. Then we come into the master bathroom, and we can see there's a different type of tile on the countertops. You only have one vanity, so that's a little bit of a drawback. But hey, every house is going to have give and take, but the inconsistency is what I'm really pointing out here. So when you're buying a house, you want to have a sharp eye if your agent's not pointing these things out to you. Consistency is one of the keys in getting a property that will sell. Again, no window coverings here. You're in your bathroom. You think you might want to have some window coverings, and that's something that the buyer is going to consider instantly when they walk into that property. You can see here that the cabinets look like they're falling apart. And then into a third bathroom. This bathroom looks like it was remodeled. So again, now you have, I believe, 4 different types of countertops. So this bathroom is obviously the nicest of the 3, but you have the kitchen that has 1 countertop and the bathrooms that all have mismatched countertops. So they put some flooring in here, but again, it's inconsistent with the rest of the flooring in the house. So it just feels like a jangled mismatch of different flooring and different countertops, which generally nobody wants. You also have some caulk lines by the tub that should have been redone. It should be nice and clean and white to match what the caulking was originally, not just passing on your problems to the buyer. This is like buying a car, driving it around, getting it all dented up, and then driving it through a mud pile, and then trying to pass it on to the next person that looks at it. It's typically not going to work in your favor. So the pool shot, I mean, that's pretty nice. I'll give it to them. Of course, I mean, I'm not here to just put them down. Decent picture. That should have been the cover picture, I think, because that is the most appealing part of the house, in my opinion. And then lastly, when I walked this house, you had a bunch of spotty patchwork, right? So everybody knows what bad drywall patch looks like. I used to be a carpenter for 14 years before I got into real estate. I've been doing real estate 20 years now, but you had bad patchwork throughout the property. So again, when somebody's buying a luxury home and they're spending way more than the last person spent for it, the least that I think a seller should do, and it's not because they want to, but it's in their benefit, they're going to sell the house for way more money because buyers are being ultra picky right now. You don't have a bunch of patchwork. I think they had 2 or 3 or maybe possibly more patches in various degrees of what these patches look like. So it's probably more, like that guy right there or this one. But again, we want to give the buyer the feeling that they're buying a fantasy, not that they're buying a problem. How I knew this home was not going to sell for what it was listed for is there was homes that were not sitting on major roads that had bigger yards that were selling for less and closed for less. And in a descending market, if you see that, it's a clear sign to buyers that a home is overpriced if it's sitting in the same location and it has a busy street and has a lot more work to be done on the house, and it also has a smaller lot, especially with a pool dominating it. So guys, of course, I don't know exactly what this home will sell for, but with current market conditions appearing to get worse fairly rapidly, I would assume, because this seller, in my opinion, missed the summer selling season and overpriced, I would assume that this home would sell for probably another $20,000 to $40,000 less. And that also depends on, are they going to get ahead of the market and reduce the price fast enough so they are not catching a falling knife as prices in a lot of neighborhoods here in Las Vegas continue to decline. All right, if you want an honest, fair, and reasonable evaluation of what your home is worth, give me a call. My name is Ken Blumberg. I'm your all-American realtor helping you live your American dream. And guys, I'm going to tell it to you straight because I don't want to deal with unreasonable people. In my world, an educated seller is my best friend, and I am their best friend because I will always tell them the truth. And together we will make excellent partners, and we will get your home sold for the maximum value that the market will bear. So thanks for watching. Let me know, what do you think this home will sell for? Do you think the seller made any mistakes? Do you think I made some misjudgments in this video? If I'm wrong in any places, of course, I want your feedback. This is an open forum. We want open dialogue. We want to learn and get better together. If you're buying a house, be very aware of what you're getting. If you're buying on a busy street, I'm not telling you not to do that, but be aware of it and understand how it affects your home's value. If you're selling a home, make sure you understand all the details of your home, what is going to attract a buyer and what is potentially going to repel a buyer. All right, guys, lock it in on my channel, hit subscribe, like the video, comment, of course, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.